Hello everyone. My name is Emmanuel Neuda Julve. Today, I will be presenting to you the chapter 7, The Philippine Peace Process by Miriam Coronel Ferrer. This topic focuses on how our country, the Philippines, has been striving for peace in the middle of armed conflict and political division. It will help us understand that peace is not just about the absence of war, but about justice, fairness, and reconciliation among all Filipinos. So, as we can see, there's learning objectives. Maybe at the end of this chapter, the student should be able to recognize or critically appreciate the contribution made by civil society organization in peace building in the Philippines, including their impact on governance and democratization. Identify the policies of the government and the various agreement reached in the peace negotiation between the government and the various rebel groups. And three, explain the challenges in securing peace with armed groups in the country. So, this chapter will not only discuss the history but also the ongoing effort that show how the Philippines continue to work toward lasting peace. So, um, the Philippine peace process is anchored on the main agenda of finding a just and peaceful solution to the armed conflict in the Philippines. It became part of the national agenda after the fall of authoritarian regime in 1986. The democratic transition brought about by the EDSA People Power Revolution created favorable condition for building national consensus on the needs for reform that will break down the repressive apparatus of the martial law regime and address the gaping social inequities. So, the Philippine peace process is mainly about finding a just and peaceful solution to our country armed conflict. This goal became the national priority after the fall of the Marcos dictatorship in 1986. When the EDSA People Power Revolution restored democracy, it gave the Philippines a chance to rebuild, not just politically, but socially. Remember, during the martial law, the government used force to control the people, leading to human rights violation, social inequality, and suppression of freedom. Because of that, various rebel movements grew like di ba? Like the pinakasikat dati, pinakasikat hanggang ngayon, pinakamasikat, the CPP-NPA or CPP-NPA, the Communist Party of the Philippines, and or di ba, the CPP-NPA and the Moro movement in Mindanao. So, when democracy returned, the new administration realized that we cannot achieve peace through military force alone. We need dialogue, understanding, and reform. So, recognizing the rise and growth of communist and Moro insurgencies were rooted in social injustices and gross violation of human rights. The Aquino administration opened the process of dialogue with the Moro and the communist insurgent group, finding a just and peaceful settlement to insurgents and building peace talk. Thus, became part of the post-Marcos democratic agenda. So, ang sabi doon, that under the president of Corazon Aquino, the government open talks with both communists, and Moro insurgent group. For the first time in a long while, The government recognized the rebellion is rooted in social injustice. Problems like landlessness, landlessness, poverty, and discrimination. So peace became a central part of the post-Marcos democratic agenda. It wasn't just about stopping violence. It was about healing the nation, creating fairness for all. This also when the term peace process became common in government program. So in the civil society, organization is used to include organization, institution, and other collectivities working and organized autonomously from the state to respond to societal and political issue. So, civil society organization or CSO refers to different kinds of group, institution, and association that are independent from the government but still play an active role in the society. When we say organize autonomously from the state, it means it means that these organizations are not controlled by the government or any political party. They are formed by them. They're formed by the people themselves. Citizens who want to help address problems in their community. For the CSO could be a non-governmental organization, NGO working for human rights, an academic institution promoting peace education, a church-based group offering relief to war victims, or even a community cooperative that support farmers or women. um, what makes them civil is that they use peaceful, democratic, and participatory ways to make change, not violence or force. And what makes them part of society is that they represent the voices of ordinary people, especially those who are often ignored by those in powers. So, we go into the next slide. Next slide is the PCO refers to specifically a segment of this broad range of Philippine CEOs who have adopted a focused peace agenda, meaning they frame their campaigns, service, and other activities with a peace perspective or advocacy for peace, or at least undertake peace related activities and consider themselves peace organization. So, also in short, peace or people organization or POs are one of the most common types of civil society organization in the Philippines. They are so called solid or mass based because they are made up of ordinary citizens who unite for a shared cause, whether it's about their community, environment, human rights, or peace. POs can be organized by territories, such as those formed in a barangay or city, or by sectors like women groups, farmers, and workers association. What makes them so solid is their strong local connection. They know their members personally and act directly on the problems of their communities faces. So, for the example, during the time of armed conflict, local POs often help protect civilians, distribute relief goods, and immediate between the military and rebels to prevent violence. So, um, um it could the democratization of peace. So the peace process plays a big role in the democratization of the Philippines. Democratization means strengthening democratic institution and practices, making sure that governance include participation, fairness, and respect for human rights. In peace building, democratization happen when citizens, not just politicians, are involved in decisions that affect peace and development. It requires social and political reforms like fair election, transparency, and programs that addresses inequality when communities and organizations like POs and CSOs take part in the peace process. They help make democracy stronger because peace is not only about stopping war but also about ensuring that every Filipino has voice in shaping the nation future rather. So, what is the peace process? So, peace process has been defined as persistent peace initiative involving the main protagonist in a proacted conflict. A broader definition that is more apply used in the Philippine context is the totality of structure and processes, actor roles, and relationship strategies, program activities involved creative and pursued in a non-violent manner by various sectors of Philippine society in response to armed conflict, political violence, and social unrest. The peace process can be defined as a set of persistence peace initiative between the main groups or parties involved in a long-standing conflict. In the Philippine context, the definition is broader. It refers to the totality of the all effort structures and programs that are done in a non-violent way to address armed conflict, political violence, and social unrest. So this means that peace is not only about formal talks between the government and the rebels. It also includes the work of different actors like civil society organization, local communities, churches, and school who all contribute to peace building. Uh, so how can I do this? In a simple term, the peace process is the combined effort of the whole nation, government and citizen alike to transform conflict into cooperation through dialogue, justice, and reform. So there's a two aspect of Philippine peace process. Number one, civil society, and two, political negotiation between the government and the different rebel group. So, the Philippine peace process has two aspects that work hand in a hand to achieve lasting peace. So, the first aspect is civil society peace building. This focus on the effort of ordinary citizen organization communities who promote peace through dialogue, education, livelihood programs, and interfaith cooperation. They help rebuild trust among people, heal divisions, and make sure that peace is felt at the grassroots level. So, the second aspect is political negotiation between the government and the different rebel groups, such as the Moro National Liberation Front, the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, and the National Democratic Front. These formal talks aim to resolve the root causes of conflict like poverty, inequality, and lack of autonomy through peaceful dialogue instead of war. Ito, based on my knowledge, um, for my interaction mga former NPA, in Surigao, nag-cause lang talaga ng kaliwaan or ibig sabihin ng kaliwaan is kumakaliwa ka sa gobyerno, and nagkakos lang yan because of the inequalities, poverty, and lack of autonomy. So that is the government should address that issue to avoid the conflict, to avoid the big problem. So that is how the government working right now about the mga formal talk, peace talk, di ba? Nakikita natin sa mga balita na itong tulad ng Russia and Ukraine, may peace talk daw, mga ganun ba? So both aspects are equally important. Political negotiation create the agreements, while the civil society peace building make those agreements real and lasting in people's daily lives. So, let's proceed to the next slide. Types of civil society, peace building, or peace action. So, excuse me. Civil society peace building can take different forms, but all of them works toward the same goal: to build a just and lasting peace in the Philippines. The first type is peace continuancy building. So, what it is? Advocacy work, campaign, organizing, networking, peace education, interfaith dialogues, and other activities aim promoting a peace agenda. So, this involve advocacy work, campaign, networking, and peace education that promotes a culture of peace. For the example of includes interfaith dialogues, peace seminars, and awareness campaign that encourage to reject violence and unite peaceful solution. It means that we are addressing such a problem without any violence. We reject violence. We promote unity, peaceful solution. So, the second is conflict reduction effort. Activities aim and escalating the level of political violence and addressing the negative impact of violence on affected communities and individuals in order to enhance the condition of sustainable peace, seek respite from violence, receive justice, and reparation for human rights violation. So, these are the activities that escalate political violence and help affected communities recover. They aim to protect civilians, seek justice for victims, and promote healing for war-torn areas. For the example of humanitarian aid mission and ceasefire, monitoring groups are part of this effort. So, the third is the conflict settlement activities geared achieving non-military solution to the major armed conflict. So, these are efforts that seek peaceful and non-military solution to major conflict, like facilitating negotiation or promoting reconciliation between the government and rebel groups. So, it was consensus. Parang may mag-agreehan na lang tayo. Like may pinagkasunduan. Yung dalawang panig, ang gobyerno at rebel groups, na hindi na kahit sobrang laki ng away na yun is nagawa pa rin nilang masettle. Parang ganun lang ba the example or analogy of that. So, the fourth is the peace research and training programs. So, research effort and studies on the impact of war, peace, conflict, resolution, etc., and the training in the skills important to peace building, thereby supporting and building capacities for peace nation. These include research studies on the causes of war and the effect of conflict, as well as training people in meditation, negotiation, and peace building skills through education. They build knowledge and capacity for long-term peace. And finally, the fifth type is a social development, economic livelihood, development, environmental project, and implementation of actual social and economic reform. So, these are economic and livelihood project that help communities recover and grow after conflict. So, ito yung mga parang like what happened here in Marawi. Social development works. Diba? Pagkatapos ng gera, tinulungan ng gobyerno na makabangon muli ang kwan. Then, for what I'm said earlier, that these are economic and livelihood project that help communities recover and grow after conflict. They include rebuilding school, improving the environment, and supporting social reform that empower people and reduce poverty. So in short, all this action pala, from education and research to development and reform, show that building peace requires both the mind and the heart, and the active participation of all sector of society. So, sana po naintindihan po natin, no? So, punta na po tayo sa kasunod na slide, sa peace constituency building. The deepening sorry po na doble ko pala ito pag so talo na lang po tayo dito sa peace zone. Sorry po ma'am na nasaya na siguro na nalito lang po kasi maraming exam. So talon po muna tayo dito sa peace zone. So according to the coalition for peace primer is defined as geographic area within which war and any other form of armed hospitality may no longer be waged, and where peace building program address the roots and effect of conflicts in the community. In simple term, a peace zone is a community declared safe area, a place where both soldier and rebels agree not to fight, so that civilian can live without fear and focus on rebuilding their lives. These zones are not created by law or military power. Instead, they rely on moral persuasion, the people collective will to protect their community and their ability to negotiate peacefully with both sides of the conflict. Over the years, peace zones have been called by many names, such as DMZ, Zone Peace, Freedom and Neutrality, or ZOPAD, something like that. So, despite the different name, the goal is the same: to stop violence and build the foundation of peace in war-torn communities. So in recent years, there has been a new wave. So, dito na po tayo sa kabilang slide po. Ipo. Ng tinatawag nilang new wave of peace zone building. So, there has been ito nga po, new wave peace zone building most likely in areas affected by hostilities between the government of the Republic of the Philippines and the MILF. The sanctuaries of peace and spaces for peace are most recent variation of the peace zone. The aim of stopping and preventing violence and building the infrastructure for peace remains, but the process of their formation may have been different. Okay po. Communities have started creating sanctuaries of peace and spaces for peace, local initiative that prevent the return of violence and promote rehabilitation and development. So even the process of forming this new peace zone may different. Their goals remain the same: to protect life, promote dialogue, and strengthen community solidarity for lasting peace. So, pasok na po tayo sa sunod na slide, sa conflict reduction effort. So, in the Philippine situation, proactive peace process and continuing conflict, some peace COS focus on mitigating the violence and the impact on the communities. War weigh heavily on civilians, especially in non-conventional warfare, where enemies' lines are not clear and civilians are not easily distinguished from combatants. So, in the Philippines, where conflict have been lasted for decades, so conflict reduction efforts are peace activities that aims to lessen the violence and reduce its impact on civilian, because our peace process is long and sometimes unstable, di ba? Many peace CSOS focus on their works on helping communities survive and recover while fighting is still happening. So, war affect ordinary people the most, especially the non-conventional warfare, when it is hard to tell who the combatants are and where the civilian often become victims. So, lagi na lang casualty dito po kasi is mga taong, di ba? Yung away ng mga rebelde at gobyerno, ang casualty po talaga is ang mga taong civilian. So, ito po. Bibigay po ako ng isang example. In the Bukidnon, there was inambush ng allegedly CPP and PA. Inambush nila yung ng sundalo or police, and sa convoy na yun may sumusunod na badya. Sakay nun is magpamilya, may sanggol. Umovertake yata, pina-overtake nila yung hindi nila pina-overtake. Inambush ang sinusundan nilang convoy. Patay po ang sanggol, yung anak nila. At 2 months or 1 year old baby, patay. So ito po ang nagiging casualty po natin is mga mamamayan. Tayo po, mga inosenteng mamamayan. So, balik po tayo sa ating report. This effort includes things like monitoring ceasefires, evacuating displaced families, providing humanitarian aids, and promoting respect for human rights. Diba? For the example, in Mindanao, volunteers group open to safe passage for evacuees and document ceasefire violation to prevent further attack. So in short, in conflict reduction effort are about protecting lives, easing suffering, and creating conditions that make peace possible while conflict continues. So, let's just go to the another slide. So, sorry po talaga. Nagkakamali po talaga ako sa pag-ano ng PPT. Dalawa po yung naano ko dito ng PPT. So, bantay ceasefire. So, ito na po. Pasensya na po. So, bantay ceasefire is an example of a citizen initiative aimed at stopping direct violence. So, bantay ceasefire is the great example. Diba? It is the great example of citizen initiative that aims to stop direct violence and protect communities caught in conflict. So it was formed to help make sure that the ceasefire between the government of the Republic of the Philippines and the Moro Islamic Liberation Front is properly followed and sustained. What makes Bantay ceasefire unique is that it made up of ordinary citizens and peace advocates, including teachers, farmers, youth, and community leaders, many whom belong to various Mindanao peace groups. These groups provide the backbone of the organization and work closely with the Government Republic of the Philippines and Moro Islamic Liberation Front, joint monitoring committees, and the provincial local monitoring teams. Their job is to observe, report, and verify any violation of the ceasefire agreement. So, may dalawang committee. May tagapagkatawan ng gobyerno at ng MILF. Sila yung magbabantay ng ceasefire and composed of ng ordinary citizen and peace advocates. Sila, tulad nga sinabi ko, their job is to observe, report, and verify any violation of the ceasefire agreement, helping prevent misunderstanding from turning into clashes. In short, Bantay ceasefire show how ordinary people can play an active role in keeping peace alive, providing that peacekeeping is not only for soldiers, it is everyone's responsibilities. So, dito na po tayo sa kasunod na slide. On conflict settlement. To achieve the specific goal of achieving a peaceful settlement of the conflict, people negotiation between the government and the different armed group are underway. Peace coalition have put pressures on all parties to the conflict to stay on negotiation track and to sustain process through confidence building measure and firmer commitment to the peace process. So, conflict settlement focuses on achieving a peaceful end to armed conflict through political negotiation between the government and the different armed groups. So, the goal is not just to stop fighting, but to create long-term solutions that address the causes of conflict, such as poverty, inequality, and lack of representation. So during negotiation, peace coalition. Sorry ma'am. Sorry sa inyo. Coalition and civil society groups plays a big role by pressuring both sides to stay committed to the peace process and by promoting confidence building measures like ceasefire, monitoring, and open communication. This action helps maintain trust and ensure that the peace talk continues even when challenges arise. Okay? Thank you. So, let's go on the another slide sa peace research and training. The attainment of peace is a goal that requires continuing research and training of practical and analytical value. So, peace research and training are essential for strengthening peace effort. They involve continuous study, data gathering, and capacity building to understand the roots and the conflict to find effective solution. Dito po naghahanap ng mga solusyon para ano po yung conflict. Okay po? So, through research, expert analyze local and international experience in conflict resolution, while training program teach skills in negotiation, mediation, and community peace building. This knowledge become part of a global body of learning that guides both policymaker and peace advocates in achieving sustainable national and internal peace. So, pasok na po tayo sa isa, the social development work. So, social development work, reconstruction of communities and provision of alternative livelihood project are recently being integrated as part of the peace building, essentially in areas affected by the conflict. They involve active provision of relief or temporary shelter to displaced communities toward generating self. So it includes develop project reconstruction and alternative livelihood programs that help people recover and become self-reliant. These projects go beyond giving temporary relief. They help families regain stability, rebuild homes, and start small businesses. Diba? For the example of After Fighting in Mindanao, peace organization partner with local cooperative to create livelihood. Yeah. I also remember na pagkatapos ng gera dito sa Marawi. Di ba? Maraming mga NGOs talaga doon na tumutulong para makabangon ulit ng mga kapatid nating Muslim. So, in short, social development turns peace into something real and lasting every day. So, dito na po tayo sa political negotiation. So, political negotiation or peace talk are aimed at conflict resolution, which has been defined as a state of affairs wherein the contending parties voluntarily find a satisfactory way of regulating basic disagreements so that military confrontation becomes unnatural and mutual recognition of each other existent ensues. So, political negotiation, or what we often call peace talk, diba? We often call it peace talk, are formal discussion aimed at resolving conflict peacefully. The goal is to find a fair, acceptable way for both sides to settle their differences without using violence or military confrontation. So in simple terms, it's a process where the government and rebel groups sit down, talk, listen, compromise instead of fighting. So through peace talk, both parties start to recognize each other existence and agree to pursue solution and promote justice and long-term peace. So the armed engagement and political negotiation. Since 1986, the Philippine government has engaged the following armed opposition group in political negotiation to address the roots of the conflict. So then this includes the National Democratic Front of the Philippines, and NDFP, which represent the Communist Party of the Philippines, or the CPP, the CPP, and its arm wing, the New People's Army. So what is called the CPP and PA? So the Cordillera People Liberation Army, of CPLA, led by Conrado Balweg. So the leader of the CPP and PA, guys, is Joma Season na po. Is Joma Season. So led by the Cordillera People Liberation Army is led by Conrado Balweg, together with the Cordillera Bodong Administration, Montaños, National Solidarity. So the Moro Liberation Front, MNLF, with the armed group of the Bangsamoro Army, the Moro Liberation Front. So this talk aims to end decades of armed rebellion and to establish greater autonomy and peace, especially in Mindanao and Cordillera region. So other armed and rebel groups aside from those, government also dealt with several military rebel organizations such as Revolution Alyansang Makabansa, Soldier of the Filipino people. So every mga alyansang tapat sa bayan, a group. So the Altas is a loyal group for former Ferdinand Marcos. There were also breakaway groups from the communist movement, such as the Revolutionaryong Partido ng Manggagawang Pilipinas and the Revolutionary Proletarian Army. So engaging this group through negotiation showed the government desire to solve the conflict not through war but through dialogue and inclusion. Ito po dito po yung mga binanggit ko po ay makikita nyo po mismo sa PPT. So in short, political negotiation represent the heart of the peace process. They transform an armed struggle into meaningful conversation, where instead of bullets, both sides use words, understanding, and compromise to reach peace. So dito naman tayo sa kabilang slide ng report. The government body tasked with overseeing the different aspect of process. So the government created several agencies and bodies to manage and supervise the different aspect of peace process. So each one has specific role ensuring that peace efforts are properly implemented and sustained across the country. So number one, the Office of the Presidential Advisor on the Peace Process, o OPAP, is the main office that oversees and coordinates the entire peace process. It manages the government peace program, support their negotiation panels, and make sure that peace agreements are carried out. In short. Number two, government negotiating panels. These panels are composed of representatives appointed by the president to negotiate with different rebel groups. Some panels even include civil society members to make the discussion more inclusive and transparent. Their main task is to find peaceful and fair solution to conflict through formal dialogues. Number three, National Amnesty Commission. It was created in July 1994. This body is responsible for receiving and processing amnesty application from former rebel who wants to return to civilian life. the National Amnesty Commission is work niya is to receive ng amnesty ng mga galing sa kulungan na mga mabigat yung kaso, like the rebel nga. So Anti-Poverty Commission or the NAPC coordinates the government effort to fight poverty and promote social reform. It was established under the Republic Act 8425 and to ensure the peace supported by the improvement of the people affected in areas. So National Reconciliation and Development Council. So this council managed reconciliation program for rebels who choose to lay down their arms and return to mainstream society. It tells them, so nabibigyan pa po ng pangalawang pagkakataon lahat ng mga gustong bumalik sa ating pamahalaan. So in summary, these government bodies work together to bridge peace agreement and real life change. Each one plays a unique role, di ba po? From negotiation and amnesty to develop and reconciliation. So, showing that peace is shared effort between government, civil society, and the Filipino people. So, ano po? Trends and assessment on political negotiation. So, the Philippine peace process has evolved through different presidential administration, each with its own challenges and achievements. Let's look at how the peace negotiation developed over time. Excuse po. During the Aquino administration, effort to achieve peaceful settlement of contract did not prosper during President Corazon term. Aquino term. This was mainly because of the political instability after the 1986 EDSA revolution. Although the government tried to hold talk with the National Democratic Front, this effort failed due to the lack of military and U.S. support. So in 1987, peace talk collapsed after 18 peasant protesters were killed near Malacanang, an event that severely damaged trust between government and rebels. So during the Ramos administration, under the Ramos, the situation became more stable. His peace development trust lead to the major breakthrough with different armed groups. Formal negotiation with the Moro Islamic Liberation Front began during his term. Okay po. Bibilisan na lang po natin. So the framework of negotiation was laid in the Hague Declaration issued by both parties in the Netherlands. So the Negros, the Philippine government forged a conclusive agreement with the CPL. So, to wrap it up, this agreement focused on reintegration, helping former rebel return to civilian life through rehabilitation, livelihood programs, and even integration into the armed forces of especially MNLF. During the Estrada, mayroon po mga ganyan during the Estrada, faced difficulties under President mainly because of the renewed fighting in Mindanao po. So, dito na po tayo. There is two implementation phases. The peace agreement, especially those involving Moro groups in Mindanao, were not meant to happen at all once. They were designed to be carried out in two main phases, each with a specific focus, transition, and autonomy. 3-year transitional phase. The first phase is called the 3-year transitional phase, which involved creating a special zone for peace and develop ZOPAD in southern Philippines. This phase focus on intensive peace and develop program helping communities recover from conflict, rebuild infrastructure, and improve education and livelihood. So, a special zone for peace and develop serve as the test area of peace effort where the government and the local leaders work together to show that peace can bring real progress. In short, phase 1 was about building trust, strengthening local governance, and preparing the ground full autonomy. So the new regional autonomous government, was the phase 2. So the second phase is the creation of a new regional autonomous government. This requires the passing of the new law to amend or replace Republic Act 6734, also known as the Organic Act of Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. In this phase, the goal was to form a stronger regional government with enhanced power for both an executive council and the legislative assembly. This meant giving the people of the region greater control to their own affairs politically, economically, and culturally while still being part of the Republic of the Philippines. To summary, the two implementation pieces represent gradual but firm approach of peace building. Together, they show the peace is not just signed on paper, it must be implemented step by step with trust, patience, and shared responsibilities between the government and the people. So, punta na po tayo sa malapit na po tayo. So, conclude agreement between the government of the Republic of the Philippines and rebel groups. So, the peace agreement between the government of the Republic of the Philippines and the various rebel groups includes several key components. Each one was designed to end hostilities, build trust, and promote long-term development areas. So number 1 is cessation of hostilities. Both sides agreed to declare a ceasefire. Once the peace agreement took effect, this mean all form of armed confrontation must stop, allowing communities to recover. Peace program begins. It was the first and most crucial step toward rebuilding trust. So, confidence building measure. Number 2 po ito. So, the GRP committed, the Government Republic of the Philippines, committed to release 35 political prisoners listed in Annex A. Follow the processing of 200 more prisoners listed in Annex B. These actions were meant to show sincerity and goodwill, encouraging the rebel groups to stay committed to the peace process. Release of political prisoner. So, political prisoner included in Annex will be released immediately, while those under the BS list would have their cases reviewed and dismissed in accordance with the law. So, develop project. The government also promised to provide a 500 million development fund over 3 years. This fund would support 3 agricultural projects in Mindanao, 3 in Visayas, and 2 urbans in Luzon. This project aimed to bring tangible benefits of peace, job, livelihood, and progress to former conflict zone. So, ano ba tayo sa isa? Policy reform. Both parties agreed to begin discussion on policy reform, particularly in areas like fiscal or governance or root of arms, such as inequality and poor public service. The Joint Enforcement Monitoring Committee, the live person dominated on each party and endorsed shall be established immediately. To make sure that all parties' agreements were followed, on a Joint Forces Monitoring Committee was created. This committee composed of representative from both sides was tasked to monitor compliance, investigate violation, and maintain open communication during implementation. So, in initial agreement between the Government Republic of the Philippines and the other rebel groups, this initial agreement focused on building trust, protecting human rights, and addressing key issues. So, and respect for human rights. And dito na po tayo sa isa. Initial administration. Marami po dito security aspect. The parties will consider normalizing condition by implementing all agreements, consulting with Bangsamoro people. And rehabilitation aspect. The parties recognize and observe the international humanitarian law, anonymous basa nyo po lang to. So, respect for human rights, both parties uphold international human rights principles, especially the right to self-determination. Respect for international humanitarian, they agreed to follow the rules of war and peace, ensuring that civilians are protected and human treatment is given. So, Joint Monitoring Committee, the GMC, was established to receive and investigate complaints about violation of agreement and recommend action to both parties. So, security aspect, both side committee to normalize peace and security conflict areas by implementing agreement and consulting the Bangsamoro people. So, the rehabilitation aspect, the parties recognize the need to rehabilitate displaced persons and communities affected by war, helping them rebuild their lives and regain stability. So, ancestral domain aspect, they also agreed to continue discussion on ancestral land, addressing the humanitarian, economic, and cultural rights of the Bangsamoro people. So, in the summary, to wrap it up, this agreement marked an important step toward peace, emphasizing human rights, humanitarian values, and respect for cultural identity, while laying in the foundation for lasting reconciliation in Mindanao. So, yung ancestral domain, diba? So, in conclusion of my report, the Philippine peace process can only succeed with a strengthening of democracy. True lasting peace requires comprehensive reform, including fair election, land and security reform, good governance, and justice and sustainable development. This reform aim to end poverty, promote equality, and secure peace through democracy and justice. So, that's all po, Ma'am Ara. And maraming salamat po sa inyo sa pakikinig.